So yesterday the seminar ended. Today we're beginning the next one, which is the right way to do things. That way we'll start the process for the next, whatever it is. When are we coming back? November. 8 months. And I'm really believing that group practice is quite valuable. As an individual practice is obviously valuable, but knowing that this room full of people is somehow connected by a spiritual practice is very energizing, and it also, it's like food. Somehow knowing other people are doing it feeds us. And Murshid emphasizes quite a bit for someone who's such an optimist what a struggle life is on earth. And life is a struggle. That doesn't mean we should be sad about it or depressed. It's the nature of life. You know, it's like my story about Carmelo the mechanic. You have a car, you have problems. You have life, you have struggle. Okay, there's a seat there. Oh, you got it. So, it is helpful in this struggle of life, battle of life, to know that there are other people who are sharing the same struggle, but who are sharing the same practice. So I'm going to offer a practice, a number of practices that you can connect, we can connect on. And the first practice, which is probably the most important, is the sargam, is the scale that is done, you know, with the Sanskrit syllables, Sa-re-ga-ma-pa-da-ni-sa. And you might think this is an elementary practice, but this is a really advanced practice if you do it every day. Some of you know do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I would appreciate it if you use the Sanskrit, because it came out of revelation. It's not just a musician who decided it. The other came out of the Italian musical vernacular. But this is mystical, the sargam. So, yeah.
So, when I work with this in lessons, I mean, the Indian scale that we usually use has minor second, major third, minor sixth, major seventh. But you were doing major scale.
Yes. Get the major scale. For some reason, in the West, we have difficulty with minors. I used to do the Kalama dance in the minor, which I think is really beautiful. And people liked it, but they like more of the, what should I say? Anyway, I went back to the major. And the same with the zikr, Murshid zikr.
There's a reason for this that I could tell you.
Yeah, tell us.
Very early on, we're indoctrinated in the West to think that minor is sad and major is happy.
Right.
Anybody in the East knows that's completely not true. And
Yeah.
anybody who's sung Jewish music for sure knows that's not true. So as soon as you help people, if you sing a lot of Jewish music,
Yeah.
people get it, totally get to see the minor scale.
That's why there are so many Jewish Sufis.
But the sargam is movable.
So if the two of you were going to give a practice to this group, knowing what you know, using the sargam, what would you tell us to do? You don't have to say the same thing either.
I would say get an electric tambura, or no, at these stages get an app. And you can tune it to anything. If you want to, you can get iTabla, which is a great app, and that has the drone on it as well as the tabla. And just do saw. Just saw for about 3 months, and then move yourself into re. In other words, don't just start singing sa re ga ma pa da ni sa, and just really learn how to sing saw for a long time.
So if you're going to do that, you really do need the app, or need something, so that otherwise you start off.
Well, having the drone to hear the tension of the pitch is really totally necessary.
iTabla Pro is fabulous, so. iTabla Pro.
I have the amateur version, and it's quite good.
I think the Pro is only $299 or something like that.
Oh, I paid more than that for it, but it was worth everything.
It's,
okay.
Yeah, I'm kidding. Just paid for it, and it's a very good app, so that you get some.
Can I ask a clarification on what you just said? So use saw, but for the scale. Just do, or just
saw is just
saw.
like singing.
It's just
middle C if you're in the scale of C. So
for those of us that are not musical.
Yeah, so it's one note. It's a home note.
I see what you're
and
saying.
People, it's like piano students. When can I play Beethoven? Well, first of all, you're going to have to learn the C major scale. So
I see what
and
you're
people
saying.
just to learn how to hold a note. And it's like doing Om for a long time. You'll get a spiritual experience from holding one note and really learning how to hold that note. It's like an asana of music. Hold the posture, hold the stillness, and then movement will come out of that. But people want to move right past that stage into Beethoven.
Is it useful or confusing for people to do the agar, where they're to just strip it down to doing the tone ah with each of those notes, so that you get that consistent tone and the vocalization, and then also practice with the note names?
I only know what I was taught by Mukesh. He did that after you did the sargam. And the answer is I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, you have free license. Find it. Find what works.
In sargam, and in Indian singing in general, singing sa is not just sa, but it could be sa, sa, sa. Those are all saws, and so you're singing one note, but with you approach it from different directions and different distances. You're still singing sa, so that'll keep you interested in all sorts of things.
The really old descriptions of what each of these modes did, each of the moods that they would engender in you, you go, oh, how quaint. But if you actually listen to these modes in just intonation, where the instrument is tuned absolutely mathematically to how that scale actually works, what they're saying in these old descriptions is absolutely true.
You know who Michael Harrison is?
Yes.
Did you say no or yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael Harrison is a Sufi, and he, many years ago, started to tune the piano, or had the piano tuned in the original way. And you can hear Michael's stuff online easily, and that is a more true representation, I believe. Again, it's not my area of what you're speaking of. And there are many others too. And you can hear the difference. We're going to hear one we're going to hear it now or later?
You got to get your speaker right.
Okay, later. Sura, sorry.
I think the most important part to explore and discover is the heart tone of each pitch. And you don't have to know anything about the whole rest of that to just find that core and heart connected. That's probably the most important part of the practices I see it.
It's important for those of us who are not musicians to hear that just do the best you can. If you don't try it, you'll never know. And if you stop because it's not perfect, you'll never know. Every human being has a voice. I have a Marine who was convinced by some teacher when she was 6 years old that she couldn't sing. And, you know, she obviously sings beautifully now. But all it took was removing that obstruction, and she had the will to keep singing. Because she couldn't sing in the beginning. She really couldn't. And now she sings. So everybody can make a joyous noise unto the Lord. All we're doing here is not making it harder. That's why I'm a little cautious about everything that was said. We want to make it easier. You're not singing for Amir, you're not singing for Kabir, and you're certainly not singing for me or for Sura. You're singing for God. And that doesn't mean that you should disregard learning. It's fun to learn, but don't feel like you know what Amir said. Don't feel like you have to get to Beethoven.
I believe we should say that everybody is a musician.
Okay, everybody is a musician. Everybody is a soul. Everybody is a musician. Same thing. Sing your note. Sing sa. I mean, I'm of two minds because I had two different teachers about this. One said, oh, just sing sa, and the other said, sing sargam. One was hidden, one was open. I think it's up to you. You know, find your voice, find your note. You know, Katrinette is taking this sound healing course, and she was studying with a man plays those big gongs, the flat ones. She does the bowls and the big gongs, and he's in his 80s, and people came to this course from all over the world, and someone said to him, asked him a question about which gong they should get, and he said, why are you asking me? Ask the gong. So, you know, ask your voice. It's your voice. And you'll learn to love it. You'll really learn to love your voice.
You'll really learn to unlearn all the things that stop you from remembering that you loved your voice to begin with anyway.
Yeah.
Just spend some time around any preschooler, and none of them would have a hard time singing saw, and none of them have a hard time loving their voice. So this is all unlearning. Don't think about becoming a musician or becoming, it's just taking away the layers of crapola that's happened over the years.
And if you use that as an opportunity to apply the teachings on sincerity, natural movement, relaxation, gentleness, tolerance, all of those things we talked about yesterday, that will be a really good approach.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Remember those 5 things? I don't, but it's good. It's really good. Forgiveness. So that's the first practice. And I don't usually check on whether people do practices or not, but I might check on this one because it's important. It woke me up in the middle of the night when I realized that many of you don't sing. And that's not acceptable.
Just one last thing is, it's important for you to find your pitch when you get your Shruti box or harmonium.
What does that mean?
It means that you have to be able to do sa and sa, the octave. Ultimately, actually, Subhana is the one who should be telling us. She's taken vocal lessons with an amazing Indian musician for a long time. But
well, I would just say that's why I don't know what other apps there are, but the iTabla is really nice because you can just adjust that to whatever key you want to sing in. It's really, I just think it's really, really great. So.
Okay.
It kind of translates that a little bit for people.
Sure.
That you're starting on C, like the note C, might not be the best for your voice. You might need to start on a G to have a comfortable octave to sing in. So you have to look around for where that feels right to you.
Is there an optimal key that's intended?
Ask your voice.
Okay.
You, whatever you say.
You know, when I do zikr, when I sing zikr, there are some people who have a hard time with where I start. And so I try and get a good starting point. But when I sing by myself, alone, I don't have to worry about that. You know, my voice knows what it likes. Ask your voice. Ask the gong. Except our gong is living. Well, maybe that gong is living too. You remember we did those 4-4-4-4 zikr? You remember what they were? What were they?
La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illahu.
La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illahak.
La ilaha illallah.
Okay. Do each one of those 32 times, not 33. 32. 32, 32, 32, 32.
Is that sort of like having all of us hold the post at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Is it like all of us holding a pose to the same time? Sometimes, like when I hold poses, I use a timer.
Oh no, I said the post, like in the...
Oh, the post.
Oh, the post.
Oh, I actually
Oh.
go to something else. Great. Hold the post till
Yeah.
the same time. Yeah.
What you said on that.
Yeah. Before.
Yeah.
I have to ask why 32, but you probably won't answer.
Because we're doing a collective practice.
Yeah.
You don't want it to end. You want to end on an even number. And it's a multiple of 4. Sometimes the zikrs are done in multiples of 4, not in multiples of 11, always. But because it's collective, especially, you want the vibration to build and go on and go on and go on. Usually you do your own practice. When you finish for the day, you then want to go into the world, so to speak. But here, you want to... It's easier to connect with each other,
Yeah.
let's say that. Yeah. And that's enough. Okay? That one took a minute.
I'm just wondering with this group of practices, does it matter if we do them in the morning or the evening? Is there a preference?
You know, everything matters, but the real answer is that each person has a better time to do practice. It's not perfect, but it's real. So pick the time that you really can do it. And this is in general. Pick certain tasks that you do every day and always do practice when you do those tasks. So I've told you all, you know, I always do practice in the shower. I always do practice when I'm cutting, like cutting vegetables. So I always do practice when I'm stirring. So you're putting practice mantra into the food. It's really a blessing. And then there's walking practice is good too. And if you do that and just sit for a few minutes every day and pray, it's enough. You did mantra yoga, you did prayer, you did asana by walking, you did meditation by having your little time of sitting, and you did pranayama throughout the day by being conscious of your breath. So again, we're going back to those 5 yogas. Do them every day. Do that every day, one way or another. The other thing is, I used to go back and forth, but now, with a practice like this, just tell yourself, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm not doing this till I get something or attain something. I'm just going to do this practice for the rest of my life. It relieves a lot of burden, you know, and a lot of cause and effect. I should do this, and then this will happen. And so just do this, it's enough.
And young people can do skateboard practice.
Yeah, right. Old people can too. Just have to get their knees replaced.
You can do it in the hospital.
It's true. It's true. If you, for real, I was just in a hospital for a Mareed a couple of weeks ago for Andreas. When you go in the hospital, you should be doing spiritual practice. Because you can, just walking down the hall, you know, there's so much good you can do. And not everybody in the world knows this. You know? So not everybody in the world is doing it.
Also, we kept asking about how to prevent taking on impressions. When you go to the hospital, if you're putting out, you're not sucking in.
Good point. And the last thing to use, and I mean this in the sense that most of us have been doing this for a while, use Inayat Khan. Everybody, I think, knows how to attune to him, maybe greatly, maybe not so greatly. Use Inayat Khan. Not Inayat Khan as he was, Inayat Khan as he is. I find that sometimes attuning to Inayat Khan is easier and in a way more effective than attuning to God. Because God is too amorphous in certain situations. Inayat Khan is pretty burned into my consciousness. So use Inayat Khan.